Everything seemed perfect. Love, career, a shared future. But what had taken years to build didn't begin to fall apart with a dramatic scandal. It started with a biting comment over a glass of wine. One glance, one message. One evening after which you can't unsee what you used to ignore. While one of them kept playing to the crowd, the other began gathering evidence, coldly, methodically, with absolute clarity. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watched this video from. Now, let's get started. I'm Tyler. The first time I met Mallory was 6 years ago at a product rollout in Chicago. She was overseeing operations for one of our partner firms, and I was heading up marketing on our end. Our introduction wasn't smooth. We clashed during the kickoff meeting when she corrected me in front of everyone about a delivery timeline. Afterward, I pulled her aside to talk it out. She didn't apologize. She didn't back down either. She held her ground, calm, confident, steady. Oddly enough, I respected that. There was something undeniable about her. Sharp, commanding, effortlessly captivating. She never sought approval. She commanded presence just by being there. That same night we went out for a drink, then another, and 2 more after that. Within months, we were practically glued together. A year into our relationship, she got an offer to join our company. Different role, higher position. She accepted. Not long after, we moved in, and within the next year, we were married. Mallory was the kind of person who made chaos look choreographed. I found that magnetic. I loved how she thrived in the fast pace. She kept us aligned, organized, goal-oriented. We had color-coded calendars, meticulously drafted budgets, 5-year strategies. Everything we did had a purpose. We didn't work in the same division, but we crossed paths often enough. People at the office started calling us a power couple. I liked that. We used to dream about walking away from the corporate grind and starting something of our own. A consulting firm, maybe. Something built from scratch. Back then, I had no doubts about her. Or about us. But faith is fragile. The smallest fracture can ruin the whole foundation. And now, looking back, I realize that crack appeared earlier than I wanted to admit. It didn't arrive like an explosion. It was quieter. A moment, a glance, a stray comment that wasn't meant for me, but lingered all the same. It started with the little jabs. At one office gathering, Mallory recounted the time I booked us a Miami trip during hurricane season. Everyone laughed. I laughed too, initially. But she didn't stop. He actually Googled what to do in a hurricane, she said, raising her drink. He thought hiding in the bathtub was a viable plan. The room erupted. I forced a smile, but something inside pulled tight. Then came the follow-up. Tyler's great in emergencies, if the emergency is choosing a pizza topping. That one stung. A few people looked over to see how I'd take it. I brushed it off, but I felt it. Another time at a fundraising gala, she said, Tyler's budgeting skills? Let's just say they involve a lot of wishful thinking. I didn't respond, just sipped my drink and held back. Then, during dinner with her department team, someone mentioned kitchen remodeling. I brought up that we were planning to redo ours. Before I could finish, she cut me off. That's only if Tyler can figure out which end of the drill is up this time, she said. And then, the punchline. Last time, I had to get my brother over to fix what he tried to hang. More laughter. Even her VP cracked up. On the way home, I broke the silence. You like embarrassing me in front of people? I asked. The air inside the car was suddenly heavy. She sighed and rolled her eyes. It was a joke, Tyler. You're overreacting. You told your boss I don't know how to use a drill. They laughed. Don't be so touchy. That word, touchy. She used it like a weapon. Anytime I brought up how I felt, she turned it into a character flaw. But I wasn't being overly sensitive. I was finally seeing things as they were. And once you start seeing clearly, you can't unsee it. She seemed to think that knocking me down made her look clever. What she didn't realize was that I had stopped laughing. I was watching instead. I didn't argue. I didn't push back. But I took note. And the jabs didn't let up. In group settings, I became the setup. She delivered the punchlines. At home, we weren't unhappy. We were just okay. We still made plans, took trips, checked off goals, but something invisible had shifted. She started coming home later, said she had meetings, said she was building rapport with execs. I chose to trust her. Until one night, I decided to surprise her at work with dinner. She wasn't there. Her assistant, Madison, looked puzzled. She left about an hour ago, said she was meeting you for dinner. I stood there, holding a bag of tacos. When Mallory finally came through the front door 2 hours later, she didn't even blink. "Oh," she said casually, tossing her keys into the bowl. "Forgot I mentioned that. Ended up going for drinks with the team." I watched her closely. No hesitation. No apology. "Who was there?" I asked. "Buck from finance and a few others," she said, like it was no big deal. Too casual. I nodded. "Right." She kissed my cheek like nothing had happened. That night, I stared at the ceiling, wide awake. It wasn't suspicion exactly, more like a quiet certainty, the kind that doesn't shout but settles in your bones, letting you know something is coming, and there's no stopping it. When it arrived, it would change everything. So I began observing, not out of paranoia, just with purpose. Anytime Mallory said she'd be late getting home, I made a mental note. Whenever she brought up Buck, I filed it away in silence. I didn't accuse, I didn't lash out, I simply paid attention. Then came a Thursday night, around 10:30. She walked in, humming like the day hadn't left a mark on her. "You're late," I said. She kicked off her shoes, reached for a bottle of red, and casually replied, "It was Buck's birthday. A few of us went out." I asked, "Just a few?" There was a pause. "Yeah, just a few," she answered, not meeting my eyes. Later that night, while she showered, I picked up her phone. The passcode was still unchanged, same digits. But the entire chat thread with Buck had vanished. Every message, every word, gone. She hadn't just deleted a few lines. She'd erased it all. That was the moment things stopped being theory. Still, I didn't confront her. I called my friend Logan instead. He works in cybersecurity, very discreet, very efficient. "I need a hand," I said. "Can you recover messages that were deleted from the cloud?" "Who are we talking about?" he asked. "My wife." He didn't dig deeper. "Send me her login info. I'll take care of the rest." 2 days passed, then a file landed in my inbox. It wasn't just text. There were screenshots, videos, audio recordings. I opened the folder with surprisingly steady hands. Months of back and forths between her and Buck, not harmless teasing, but explicit, deeply intimate conversations. They arranged hotel visits. They laughed at me, ridiculed me. One voice message stayed with me. I replayed it 3 times. Buck's voice. "He still doesn't know? Damn, you're savage." Then Mallory's laugh followed. "He's clueless. Tyler's too good of a guy." I just sat still, breathing. It wasn't heartbreak I felt. It was clarity. Like someone wiped the steam off a mirror and, for the first time, I could see what had been there all along. That's when I decided what I'd do. I wouldn't raise my voice. I wouldn't fall apart. I'd beat them at their own game. The next couple of weeks, I got to work, like I was building a legal case. I backed up everything. Digital copies, hard copies, organized transcripts, saved audio files. Labeled the folder insurance, and tucked it into a drawer she never touched. I even slipped a micro voice recorder inside the lamp in the living room. Completely legal, almost invisible, very deliberate. Then I dialed up the charm. I cooked. I asked about her day. Each time she brought up Buck, I acted like I wasn't already 10 moves ahead. She smiled more, seemed at ease, like she thought she was still in control. Perfect. Meanwhile, I set up a meeting with Melissa, a top-tier attorney, sharp and composed, known for getting results without unnecessary theatrics. She listened as I walked her through it all. No judgment, just notes and quiet attention. When I finished, she laid out the strategy. Calm, careful, exact. I already held the leverage. Now we'd make it airtight, build a timeline, prove a pattern, lock it all down. So I kept collecting, documenting, waiting. And Mallory? She had no clue. Then the real leverage landed. Buck was married. I reached out to his wife, Ava. No dramatics, no anger. Just a straightforward email with a few attached files. She got back to me within 2 hours and asked to meet. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe. She looked composed, self-contained. "How long's it been happening?" she asked. "Almost a year," I said. She nodded once. He told me he was just helping her out. Professional mentoring. Neither of us smiled. I passed her the folder. She flipped through the contents, stone-faced. No tears. Just a quiet, "Well, I guess we both know what has to happen now." We shook hands, like allies. After that, everything accelerated. Anonymous tips landed in HR's inbox. Buck's boss received an unmarked envelope. The ethics committee got wind too. The clock had started ticking. What Mallory didn't realize was that I wasn't just planning my exit. I was preparing to dismantle the fantasy life she thought was invincible. Her company held quarterly leadership retreats. Invitation only, lavish affairs upstate. This would be her first one. She'd been buzzing about it for weeks. "This is where promotions happen," she said, folding clothes into her suitcase like a soldier readying for war. "You should see the execs attending. It's stacked." I smiled. "Buck going too?" She didn't react. Of course he was a director. That tracked. Just 3 days into the corporate retreat, my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. A voice on the other end, someone from HR, let me know that an official investigation had been opened into an inappropriate relationship between 2 employees. They didn't have to say who. I already knew. They mentioned they'd be speaking to spouses for context. I didn't hold back. Dates, names, sequences. I gave them the whole timeline. When Mallory returned home, she looked like she'd seen something she couldn't unsee. "How was the trip?" I asked, casually filling my mug as if nothing had changed. She paused. "There was some complaint," she said slowly. "Probably some disgruntled assistant trying to stir up drama about Buck and me." "That right?" I said evenly. She looked at me, searching. "You're very calm about this." I shrugged. "If there's nothing to hide, there's nothing to worry about." She didn't reply. For once, she didn't have some sharp line ready to fire back. A week later, it was official. HR put both her and Buck on leave pending the outcome of the investigation. Their access was revoked, emails locked, work phones confiscated. One morning, I found her alone in the kitchen, staring into her coffee like it had betrayed her. "This can't be happening," she murmured. "I gave that company everything." "Yeah," I said, casually buttering my toast. "That's tough." Her composure cracked. "Do you even care that they're trying to destroy my career?" I met her gaze, calm and steady. "Did you care when you were dismantling our marriage?" She didn't respond. She just stood and walked out. That's when I knew the power dynamic had shifted. She was no longer at the helm. She was scrambling to stay afloat. And I still had my ace in hand. 2 weeks after the suspension, her termination came through. The company circulated a bland internal memo. Breach of conduct. Ethical violation. No names, of course. But in our industry, the gossip moves faster than press releases. Buck was let go too. His wife, Ava, filed for divorce and quietly shared a curated snapshot of the affair online, just enough to ignite the fire. By the time HR wrapped their investigation, Buck's name was scorched beyond repair. Nobody wanted to be associated with him. When Mallory came back that day, she didn't cry. No outbursts, no tantrums. She just sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, staring into space. "I can fix this," she whispered. "How?" I asked. "I have people, favors I can call in." I didn't argue. The next morning, I slid the divorce papers across the table. No drama, just clear language. Infidelity, cruelty, irreconcilable differences. She didn't look shocked, just empty. "You planned this," she said quietly. A bitter smile followed. "You waited for the collapse." "No," I said, my voice calm. "I just made sure you were the one who fell." She tried to resist. She hired a cheap lawyer who didn't have the experience or resources, but she had no income now, no leverage. Meanwhile, I had the proof: voice recordings, text logs, location history, the entire record. Melissa, my attorney, tore apart their case with ease. Her lawyer attempted to spin it, said she was under stress, trapped in an emotionally distant marriage. The judge didn't bite. "Let's stay focused on the facts," he said. And we did. I kept the house, the accounts, the assets. She walked away with a fraction of what she expected. She never figured out how HR found out, or how Ava and I had coordinated our timelines, or that every detail of her downfall had been mapped out months in advance. People say revenge is messy, that it eats at you. But I didn't feel rage. I felt focus. When the verdict came down, I didn't celebrate. I shook Melissa's hand, stepped outside, and didn't look back. Because the real win wasn't about the settlement. It was about preserving the one thing that mattered: my sense of self. A month after everything was finalized, Mallory sent a message. "Can we talk? Just once." I stared at the screen for a moment before replying. 1 hour, tomorrow, noon, that new place downtown. She showed up 5 minutes late, wearing that same black blazer she used to wear when she needed to assert control. It didn't carry the same power anymore. "Tyler," she said, her voice practiced. "Thanks for meeting me." I nodded. "Say what you came to say." She sat slowly, eyes locked on mine. "I just don't understand," she said. "How did everything fall apart so fast?" I took a slow sip of coffee. It didn't. It was a long time coming. Just intentional. "So it was you," she said. "You tipped them off." "Yeah." Her jaw tensed. "You ruined everything I built." "No," I said calmly. "You did that. I just turned on the lights." She looked down, then back at me. "I never thought you'd stand up to me." "I know," I said. "You convinced yourself I was passive, harmless, easy to ignore. You kept talking, assuming I'd just keep sitting there, swallowing every word." She didn't argue, just sat still, letting each accusation hit without a word in return. I moved in, voice low but steady. "I didn't break you, Mallory. I showed you who you really were. But rather than admit that, it's easier for you to make me the villain. You threw away something honest for a guy who saw you as nothing more than a fallback." She finally spoke, her tone soft, almost cautious. "You sound like you're still angry." "I'm not angry," I said. "I'm finally free of it." She seemed like she wanted to respond, her lips parted slightly, but whatever she meant to say never made it out, only quiet. Then she rose and walked off. I didn't watch her go, didn't have to. 6 years ago, her presence could freeze a room. Today, she couldn't even meet my eyes. I settled the bill, stepped outside, and never looked back. That was it. No dramatic goodbye, no last-minute tears, just over. And for the first time in what felt like forever, that was enough. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.